Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to episode 5 of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. Thanks for joining us for our last 4 episodes. Our last one, we've tried some new things with Battlestar Galactica, a bit more video and things like that to get you engaged. And we had some great comments on that. So thank you very much to everyone who watched and sent in their comments.
I didn't read the comments, but I'll take your word for it. Were they flattering?
They were always.
Oh, okay, good. We don't read the bad ones.
And how have you been, sir?
I've been great. I'm growing out my hair as part of my isolation. What do you call this stuff? Quarantine. This is my quarantine look. It's a flashback. It's more of a, I don't know. It's like I'm almost going back in time. Don't you think?
We are. Well, we do. We all do. I've got to say, you are rocking a little bit of the Han Solo look. You got a bit of the Han Solo vest. You got the Han Solo hair.
Well,
you got the Mandalorian. You know.
Well, Ed, you know the ratings go up whenever Baby Yoda's on. So I said, why not go for broke? We have this Baby Yoda. Now we got this Baby Yoda. And I got it on the shirt.
I know.
Too.
I know.
He's there. So, Ed, we're probably going to get at least 20 million viewers. And as we know, the promise is I will eat that Batman 89 cereal once we get 1,000 subscribers.
And once you find it.
I probably crawled away and ran off because it knew it was going to be eaten. But yeah,
actually, you know what I had an image of? Remember in Amazing Stories with that Hell to Pay episode with the toupee that used to go? I can imagine it looks like that.
The Batman cereal's flying around here. I think it might be the cause of this whole virus situation.
Oh my gosh.
Don't let anyone know, but maybe it's because I dug it out of my storage unit and this is what happened. But anyway, we digress.
It is actually. I'm good. I've had a busy week working from home, teaching, which has been pretty tiring. In the meantime, I've been on lots of eBay auctions, which I missed out on my due back. I missed out.
Do you lose usually in the last 10 seconds?
Oh, well, yeah. And it goes, I lost that one by like $7.
50 cents. Oh, no. It's worse when you lose it by 50 cents.
Drives me crazy. And I missed out on the, given today, the release of this day is May the 4th. So, when we release it, it's May. We're doing it live.
I'm sorry, Ed. I ruined the magic.
That's right. Is one of the original collector stands from 1978. You know, where you had all the 11 Star Wars figures?
I had that.
Missed out on one of those.
Wait a minute. Was it the gray one that had the little things where you would turn them? Yes. I had to mail away for that.
Yes.
Yeah. You sent the little things in, the proof of purchases, and it was a tray, and it had that little backdrop. Man, oh man, that was a cool piece.
So I've missed, missed out on that, and I've missed, but I did get, actually, I did get a 1978 Darth Vader TIE Fighter model from MPC, which I used to have.
I had that.
Yep.
Oh, you know what else they came out with? Now that you remember, MPC also did a Darth Vader statue or model that had a glowing lightsaber, glowing eyes. I had that thing. Yeah.
They also had a bust as well of Darth Vader's head. They had C-3PO, R2-D2, and I've got the big Millennium Falcon model as well.
I had the Millennium Falcon. I had an X-wing fighter too, and the one you're talking about, the TIE fighter. You know,
and I just thought, well, I may as well buy it because I'll be in, I think this is a good time to probably make a model. I know it'll lose its value if I make it. But
the problem with that one is the grit, the wings.
Yes.
They had like a grid on the wings, like a panel. And it was hard to paint with that because I used to take the paint and you would paint it. Well, what happened is it would glob up on the little, the little raised pieces. It's hard to describe it.
I know. I know exactly what you mean.
It wouldn't cover it flat.
Yeah.
Okay. It's almost if you did get it spray painted off black and then go in and paint the gray around the edges to make it look great. But we digress.
I might do that. And I just got outbid this morning. An alert came up on my phone for a Fonzie mirror.
Fonzie.
I know, it's serious, which I think I'm going to go for broke on this Fonzie mirror.
What does it do? Is that the mirror he goes to comb his hair in?
No, it's just got a picture of, it's like I'll put a picture up of it, but it's basically got a picture of Fonzie saying Fonzie's cool. And it's hard to find Happy Days memorabilia these days. And speaking of Happy Days, you would think we would be speaking about Star Wars. We'll do that probably
I
later on in
know.
the May.
Okay.
But
Baby
we are
Yoda.
talking about, here we go, Ralph.
Yes.
Mouth.
Ralph, mouth. It
Yep.
can only be one thing. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These days are ours. These days are ours.
That's right. These days are our. That
That's
was
right.
almost Mork, which we'll get into probably a little bit later. It was,
All right. So are you
we're
telling
talking
me
about Happy
today's
Days.
topic- Happy Days?
Yeah.
The Tuesday night, 8:00 miracle that was on here on ABC TV from the 70s. Oh my God, Ed. Those were happy days.
They were. They weren't all happy days. Remember when Pinky Tuscadero crashed a bike trying to impress the Fonz? Remember that?
I thought it was in the
No, I'm just
Demolition
making that up. That's all right.
Malachi brother. We're already jumping the gun area. Now, Ed,
Oh, hey, as
how
long
do
as we
you-
don't jump the shark, we'll get to that as well
Hey,
a little bit
how do
later.
you
Hey,
know? Hey, how do you know about Happy Days? Because here it started on a show called Love American Style. Did they show that in Australia and then
I
call it
don't
Love
think so.
Australian Style?
Look, that's right. Which is, a couple of snags on a Barbie and no, I don't know. No, look,
So
I
you've
don't
never
remember
seen
if I did because I know it was came out as so it was like was it a pilot episode or was it
what it is was Love American Style was usually 2 or 3 anthology little quick romance stories.
Okay.
And there were comedies. They were always funny, but it would be like boy meets girl in a weird, awkward situation. And sometimes Harrison Ford was on them. Speaking of Han Solo, but one particular episode, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm sure we're gonna get a comment that I got it wrong, but I think it was called like This American Family or something like that. And it had Ronnie Howard, aka Richie Cunningham.
Love, love, love. Love American style. Truer than the red, white, and blue. Love American style. That's me and you. And on a star-spangled night, my love, come to me. You can rest your head on my shoulder. While by the dawn's early light, my love, I will defend your right to try. Love American style. That's me and you.
And the setting was all the same. They were in the house with the dad and the mom and the sister, and Chuck was in there too, I believe. And it was just about a teenager in the late 50s in America, middle class, just trying to get a date with his friends.
Yep.
And I think Potsy was in it, and that's all it was. It was a one-off, and it was done by Gary Marshall. He's the producer of Love American Style. But I think the ratings were so good on that one. And then a little movie, speaking of Han Solo, when he was Bob Falfa,
Yeah.
called American Graffiti by George Lucas that came out in 1973 was such a huge hit. That's the first thing that they always do on TV. What's popular in the movies? Last week it was Battlestar Galactica.
That's right.
Was the TV answer to Star Wars. So they said, what do we got that's like this American Graffiti thing? And they said, we had this show that was on Love American Style. Want to do that one. And it was called Happy Days. And that's where Happy Days came from on ABC TV.
And of course, the link with American Graffiti is also obviously Ron Howard in American Graffiti, and then they got into
Cindy Williams.
Yeah, and they got him back to do Happy Days, and Happy Days wasn't a huge hit when it started. In fact, it almost got it almost was going to be axed, I think, by the end of the first or second season, and that's when the Fonz came into popular culture and became an icon, really.
He was always there, but he was more of a background character because Richie was the star of the show. Richie Cunningham, aka Ronnie Howard, aka Opie Griffith from the Andy Griffith Show,
That's right.
and a bunch of other things. Yeah, it was really he and Potsy were supposed to be the centerpiece of the story, but eventually Fonzie, who was just a background guy, just started taking the foreground, and everybody wants to know more about that character. Plus, it's played by the great Henry Winkler,
Yes.
who, if you ever saw The Lords of Flatbush, which was kind of like an audition for Fonzie, he had the greased hair and he had the leather jacket, and it followed a bunch of guys, including Sylvester Stallone and Perry King, the radio version of Han Solo. We can't get away from Han Solo today.
Yeah,
must be the vest. It must be the Han
it
Solo.
is. Well, and we've got Harrison behind us there.
Oh, he's right behind you.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's probably. And wait, do I hear something? He might be landing in my backyard because he's had some trouble lately with his aircraft. So we'll see about that. But going back to Happy Days, I'm trying to remember when I first started watching. I think my sisters, who were older than me, about 8 or 7 years older than me, and they would watch Happy Days. Tuesday nights, there was really nothing going on. We had 3 channels here in the United States, network TV, ABC, NBC, and CBS, and those were the ones that showed the new shows. And I don't know why Happy Days became a big thing, because my mom, who grew up in the 50s, was not a big fan of it. She's like, look, I remember the 50s. It was nothing like this, and we weren't happy to be there. We were glad to get out of there, And it just took off, because if you watch the show as it evolved, it was more reality based. When it first started, there were just simple stories like Richie was at the malt shop and he was trying to get a date and somebody was being a bully to him or something like that. But you're right. It wasn't until Fonzie really took center stage. And that's when the show really took off, because he became, the hero of the show. I'm trying to remember, was it when he jumped the 13 trash cans at Arnold's restaurant for the show You Wanted to See It? Because Ralph Malph wrote in that he wanted to see a human sacrifice on TV. And I remember the announcer saying, hey, you might get your wish tonight if this guy kills him.
He still got it. So,
yeah.
I think, the thing I think about Happy Days is that it was pretty non-offensive. The actors were all really likable. Tom Bosley as
Marion Ross,
and as the parents were lovely. Richie was a nice, endearing. All his friends were nice, and you'd sort of go, I wouldn't mind hanging with those guys. And I suppose it's that slice of nostalgia as well for the in the 70s we had our nostalgia for the 50s. In the 90s, we had our nostalgia for the 70s. It was sort of that whole sort of, looking back, it was the thing. It was Happy Days, the good old days.
Right now, I have, I'm looking back at the good old days, which were 3 months ago, when I can get a haircut and things like that. Yep. But no, I think you're right. I think what happens is the generation that comes after hears the mom and dads talk about growing up, and then they get this little window into maybe how it was, even though it'd be fantasy. This is how mom and dad lived in the 50s. Maybe that's why there was a certain charm to it. And the younger kids like myself would watch it, because I was thinking that could have been my mom, that could have been my dad. And maybe that's why my kids watch Friends now and stuff, because they think that's how things were in the 90s or whatever. I don't know. But there was a great cast of characters, and I think about it. That was one of those truly ensemble casts, because you did have Potsy, and who was your favorite character? Don't say Ralph Malph. Is that why you have the shirt?
I just I bought this because how often do you see a Ralph Malph T-shirt?
You don't. I know.
Even back then, I don't. It was all Fonzie, back then, and we'll talk about the merchandise a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
But I really liked the Fonz, because he was tough, but he was
cool.
A good person. He was cool, but he was a good person.
Did he ever frighten you, though, that he was like a hoodlum, like a punk, like he'd kill somebody in the back alleyway? When he first came on, because he didn't talk, there was that air of mystery about him, like, geez, this guy might be a murderer or something,
Well, Joni called him, I think, a hood or a hoodlum in like the first season. And he wasn't even allowed to wear a leather jacket.
He was wearing a windbreaker.
Bad influence. So they put him in that windbreaker, like
light blue
James
windbreaker.
Dean,
Real
and then
tough.
Interesting. They asked him also to make sure, could he comb his hair, because he didn't want to seem unkempt as well, or a bad influence. And he did come up with that whole, where he did his hair gag and
Yeah,
and it's perfect, and he never
It's
had
perfect.
to
I
brush
don't
his,
have to take
he never had
yeah.
to comb his hair again, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. So and
It
I
was just
liked the interplay between Richie, Potsy, and Ralph, because I
yeah.
felt they had a really good chemistry, and actually,
Who
so
was he
did,
better friends with, though? I always thought Potsy was his real best friend,
I think so. Yeah,
and Ralph was the third wheel guy.
yeah,
You know?
the funny guy. So did you
Yeah.
know what? Do you know why he's called Potsy?
Did they ever say that?
Well, it's apparently because he used to like making making
Smoking weed?
no, making pottery.
That's not true.
I read it on the internet, so it has to be true.
Oh, well, they also said this virus was caused by aliens in my Batman cereal. You never know what you
Yes.
hear on the internet. But no, it was a really good time. It was a wholesome show. They had things like the Howdy Doody show. They had the Mickey Mouse Club was on, I think, a couple shows or whatever like
Yes.
that. It was really nostalgic. And then you almost wanted to smell the meatloaf cooking that, Mrs. C was making, and probably she made cookies afterwards too. It just seemed like the house you wanted to go visit. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you want to go knock on their doors? She'd set a table setting for you, and you'd hear everything, and then
Or
afterwards,
a cup of warm milk and some cookies. She'd
yeah.
invite you in. Yeah, would be great. I'd love to.
And then after the show was over, you'd go sit down and watch Milton Berle or something.
Yeah, I loved I loved the whole world that they created as well. You had his Cunningham hardware. I use that a lot.
Hardware,
I
yeah.
use that a lot in my in our plays. Always the sponsor is Cunningham Hardware whenever
there
they're
you
giving
go.
away things like that. I love that. There was Al's Diner.
Arnold.
Oh no! Oh well, Al.
Oh my!
No, just hang on. There was
What
Al's.
the hell? It was Al's after it was Arnold's.
Well, just I'm getting it. Does
You
it
watched
matter what
the
order?
show? Did you watch
What show are we talking about? This was with John Ritter, wasn't it? Is it? No.
Oh, that's the Regal Beagle.
Okay. They
Now,
were.
did you see all the episodes? Because I do wonder, Mr. Al's Diner. Because no, I ask you this because there were certain episodes that were pulled from syndication. Did you know that? For some stupid reasons.
I didn't. I assume I would have seen all of them. I know. Recent.
Did you ever see? Did you ever see the episode about Stick's wedding?
I don't remember it.
You don't know who Stick is?
No, I can't remember Stick.
Well, that's the thing. Stick is the Afro-American drum player when Richie had a band.
Yeah.
And they called him Sticks because he played the drums.
Yep.
And there was an episode where he was going to get married, and Mr. C decided to have, I think if I recall, they had the wedding in the Cunningham's backyard. But this was during the 50s, and things were a bit racist back then. And because Richie was hanging out with Sticks, who happened to be a black character, a lot of his folks or a lot of his friends wouldn't hang out with him. Even I think Ralph Mouth might have been a little
Really?
racist. Yeah. And that episode did not air in syndication for a long time. It was one of those things you like, I could have swore I saw an episode once where this guy got married and then you never saw it again. And that was one of the things that happened. So there's a lost episode. You might be able to find it on YouTube or something like that. It was Stick's wedding. And then Fonz even came out and said, hey, listen, racism isn't cool. He's just like everybody else. What's the matter with you? And, of course it's true, but he had to deal with the idiocy of the 50s time frame, because I think some of the people were like, hey, Richie, I can't go over your house anymore because he was hanging out with Stick. So it's one of those things that it's an episode that it had a message, but for some reason it wasn't aired a lot in certain states or whatever when it ran later on. Anyway, that's a little tidbit.
No, that's good. I know that a lot of there's only, I think in Australia they haven't released all the seasons on DVD or anything like that. I think we've only got like the first 3 seasons. But
Really?
I don't know why. But I do remember, I mean, one thing you're talking
more
about
than 3.
Yeah, I know. They ran for 11 seasons. I
Yes.
don't know why when it originally came out and Fonz sort of took the lead, and once people realized that he was really being embraced by popular culture, that's when those messages in each of those episodes came through. And if the Fonz said it was cool,
yes,
cool. I know that they at one point they were asking if the Fonz could read, because didn't remember he had dyslexia.
You did have dyslexia, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that Henry Winkler has written books about
Yep. A
about
little
that.
boy. Yeah. Yep.
So they incorporated that into the TV series.
Henry Zipper, I believe the kid's name is, or something like that.
It could be. And basically, when the Fonz decided to go to get a library card, pretty much all of America went to get a library card, and it went up. And they did tackle some issues, which might be a little have been dealt in the cheesy way.
Well,
but at least
because
they were
it's a
doing
comedy show. Yeah,
Yeah.
people don't want to be preached to. They want to just
Yeah.
turn on and turn off for half an hour.
that. And if
And
you
they
can learn something as well, then that's a win, I think.
Yeah, I remember the cult of Fonzie. Let me see. I'm going to say around 1976 or so. It was when he jumped those garbage cans at Arnold's
Yeah.
restaurant that it was a big thing, because I remember every kid in school wouldn't stop talking about it, because here's what we didn't know about cliffhangers. I think that's the first time I heard about that. That's how the season ended.
Yep.
It ended with him going up the ramp and over the garbage cans, and it ended, to be continued. And you had to wait until next September to see if Fonzie made it or something. That's all we could talk about on the playground. We all went to school the next day. There was no DVRs, there was no VCRs, there was none of that stuff. Every kid and every kid's brother and sister was watching it. And I was like in the second or third grade, but my sisters were in the older grades, and they were all in the classrooms and they were all in the playground. Everyone's like, "Did you see Fonzie last night?" Yeah. Do you think he made it? I don't know. And we would all talk about, did Fonzie make it? Now, over the summer, you'd go about your summer school and your summer vacations and all that jazz. And then you'd come back and you're like, hey, it's September. Did Fonzie make it yet? So we all ran to watch the TV to see if Fonz got over. And we do know he did make it, but he crashed on the landing.
Mm.
Had to go to the hospital to get his leg fixed. Remember that?
That was a shock.
It was a shock. But anyway,
seeing your heroes.
It was one of the funnier episodes because they had to sedate him for the operation, so he was a little groggy. Let's just say that.
I just liked how he always, without fail, he would always wear that leather jacket when he was, doing.
He had the leather jacket on in the hospital bed.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yep, that's right.
No, the funnier thing is, but I think around 76 is when he really got the height of popularity. I think that's when Fonzie toys started coming out.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk a little bit about Fonzie merchandise and Happy Days merchandise. So I remember I've got a few memories of Fonzie merchandise. We didn't get a lot of Mego stuff in Australia, or I didn't manage to get it. I did I'll show in a minute. They've done some re-releases, but there were Fonzie mirrors, as we were talking about. There was Fonzie board games. We had in Australia these things called Fonzies, which were a treat, like a do you have Cheetos in America?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were essentially
Fonzie.
It was called Fonzies. Yep, we had.
Was it based on the show, or they were called that before the show?
No, they were called.
Did it look like, was he on the package or something?
They had a picture of him and Richie on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But one thing I was going to say is that, in fact, if you go to the Tall Toys Kid, he's on Instagram. I'll see if I can put a link up or something like that. He's got a great.
Go back again. Tall Toys.
Tall Toys. So remember, I was talking about the Australian distributor of Star Wars was Tall Toys. And also Bionic Man and $6 Million Man and all that. Well, he's called the Tall Toys Kid, and he focuses on a lot of Australian-based popular culture things.
Toys with different.
So like they had Mash ice creams here in Australia. They had
that.
Oh, there you go. And they also had Happy Days ice creams. There was a whole thing. Did you know there was a Fonz video game from 1976?
No,
in the
there was
arcades.
no video games. No.
Yes.
The only video games back in '76 were Pong and Pong. There was a beep, beep, beep.
No. That was the Fonz.
And what did it do?
It was you basically riding it was a repurposed video game, a bit like the Battlestar Galactica one was already, pre-made. So they just slapped the Fonz on it, and it was basically the Fonz riding. I'll put up a picture of it. The Fonz riding a motorbike. And basically the the background or whatever would move, and you try not to crash.
You know what? I can remember the Fonzie. There was a pinball machine
Ah,
I think it was called 8 Ball or something like that. It was Fonzie playing billiards, and he
okay.
had the cue stick. And I remember it looked like Henry Winkler on the glass of the
Yes.
pool, and we had that down the street across from my school, St. Brendan's Elementary School in New Haven, Connecticut. And on the corner, it wasn't a malt shop; it was a corner sandwich shop. You'd go in there and you'd pick up a sandwich, and they had in the corner a pinball machine, and they had a Space Invaders machine years later. But I remember playing the Fonzie pinball machine. They also had Captain Fantastic with Elton John.
Elton John. I'll have.
Yeah.
I didn't hear of that one. That sounds pretty cool.
You never saw the Elton John pinball machine?
Oh, the Elton John one, but not the.
You never saw the Fonzie one?
No.
Yeah, I think it's called 8 Ball. I don't think it's called Fonzie or Happy Days, but it's definitely Henry Winkler. And the girl in the background looked like Pinky Tuscadero.
That's right. I was more of a fan of Leather Tuscadero, actually.
Oh,
so
Susie
Quattro. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I gotta say, Pinky Tuscadero was a little too fast, if you know what I mean. I was like, I don't think
you don't like fast women?
No, I don't like fast women. That's
So
anyway,
but there actually speaking of like guest stars, there were a lot of great guest stars, and I suppose Happy Days is the gold standard for creating spin-off series. So we had Laverne and Shirley, which was I loved that. I always wanted. Was it Shots?
It's choking you up just thinking about it.
It is. I'm getting.
Wait,
all
go back a
emotional.
second. Do you remember when Laverne and Shirley first appeared on Happy Days? They dated each other.
Yeah.
Fonzie called up Laverne because
right.
they wanted to get Richie a date because his parents had left for the weekend, so he had the house to himself. The Laverne and Shirley that showed up on Happy Days was not really the Laverne and Shirley that was on their own show, because they were a lot. Speaking of fast women, they were a little looser, especially Shirley, who was kind of like, she had a different sounding voice, and she was more of a, I don't know, let's say Jezebel, like she was
not a space hooker.
No, but they were close to it. They were more like, I don't know.
They're a bit floozy, like, I think.
Floozy, that's a good word. We'll
yeah.
But
and I suppose that's the way how it is. You know, when they have their first characters, you see them on, and then they get a spin-off. And I love Laverne and Shirley. That was another.
Oh yeah, Laverne and Shirley.
That ventured more into sort of slapstick, and that reminded me a little bit more of the Lucille Ball sort of style sitcom with the between their slapstick comedy and. I love Lenny and Squiggy. They were awesome. And was it Carmine?
Carmine, the big ragu. Carmine Ragusa.
Yeah, that's right. He
would always sing the Tony Bennett song. I left my heart in San Francisco. No, I'm sorry. He'd go from rags to riches. Go from rags to riches. That was his song. As Richie always had Blueberry Hill.
Oh, that's right. I found my thrills on Blueberry Hills.
And then what was Potsy's favorite song?
I know that he sung Hound Dog, that you heard him sing that, but
Splish Splash.
Well, let's try playing Splish Splash. That'll really get him. Okay, guys? All right. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath. Long about a Saturday night. A rubber dub just relaxing in the tub.
I was taking a bath. Yeah. Oh my God. Potsy sang that every freaking chance he got. I couldn't take it. Here's a quick question.
Anson Williams. He's cool.
I'm not saying nothing wrong about Anson Williams. I just like Splish Splash.
Yeah.
When the show ran, we need to get the ratings up real quick. Baby Yoda break. When the show ran in your area, what theme song played at the beginning of it?
For the first part, we had Rock Around the Clock, and then later on we had the Happy Days theme.
Happy Days theme, yeah. Because I remember Bill Haley in the Comets played 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock 5, 6, 7.
But in
I don't know why they switched. I like the other one better, actually.
Really? Oh, well, Happy Days was released on a single here by Pratt and McClain.
Pratt's dad?
Sorry?
Chris Pratt's dad?
Let's call him up and find out. I don't know.
Everybody's home right now. That's the funny thing.
I know.
You can call anybody. This is the first time on earth everybody's home.
That's correct.
Okay,
so Pratt and McClain. So we had, and that was another.
I don't know where we are.
I don't know. Laverne and Shirley, that had another hit single as well, from the theme song, from Laverne and Shirley.
We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Yeah, that was a hit song in
Emil
Australia.
Shamazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated.
Yeah. Anyway, so we had that. We had.
Did that translate in Australia? The Yiddish at the beginning of that song?
I think we just went.
You don't know what a shamil is or a shamazel?
No.
Okay, that's a different
What
story.
what does
Okay.
it what does it mean?
We're not going to go into that.
Okay, all right. You don't know either.
I'll leave that for another episode.
Okay,
Mitch
cool.
talks when we do the Laverne and Shirley retrospective.
That's right. We will. Of course, there was I remember an amazing guest episode with Robin Williams as Mork. Who
But
totally,
you got to admit, at that point, the show was off the rails. At that point.
Well, okay. Let's backtrack a little bit. Let's talk about
Happy Days. Let's talk the ugly truth here. When did it stop being a show that you could actually go, yeah, that could happen, to no flipping way?
Well, I think everyone agrees that it would have been in the episode when the Fonz jumped the shark. And essentially, that's where we get that fantastic term from, jumping the shark, where something has deviated too far from its original.
No.
Ready to make the jump. There he goes.
When their haircuts started looking more like 70s haircuts instead of something from the 50s, they stopped putting the Brill cream, and they stopped looking like something from the 50s, and they all had feathered hair, and you're like, wait a minute, that's something they just walked off the street, because they were like, look, I'm not wearing it anymore.
They were trendsetters, Mitch. Come on, they were ahead of their time.
Well, that, and also when Chachi came on, I'm like, that kid's not from the early 60s. At that point, I think it was supposed to be around early 60s.
Wow. That's right. Chachi Arcola.
I was a fan of Spike, Fonzie's nephew.
Yeah,
well, a florist.
That's right. He got written out, and then they brought Chachi in. So
forget it. The most classic written out of all history. Went up the stairs and never came back
with his basketball, and I think he's buried in the walls.
Not only the Chuck, there was two Chucks. There was two actors that played Chuck. Yeah. How much Chuck would Cunningham Chuck? There was two actors that played it, and the second actor that played Chuck Cunningham goes on to be in the bad guy in Die Hard that gets shot, that's trying to be friends with him. That was the other Chuck. Chuck Cunningham.
Yes.
There was two of them. There was a heavier actor that played the first one, Richie's older brother, Chuck.
He went upstairs, lost some weight, and then came down.
Had the apartment above. Well, no, first he had two different things. Chuck had an apartment out of town, remember? Because Richie stayed at his house one time.
I haven't seen the first season for a long time.
Well, he did have an older brother, and Richie went to live with them, or something happened. I remember that. And everybody had a key to the apartment, and Fonzie had a paper clip. That was Fonzie's key to get in. You don't remember that? Anyway, that Chuck left, and then the second Chuck came. It was a big, taller guy, had a bad skin. That's the actor who goes on to Die Hard movies. But I wonder if that's the guy that was in Ghostbusters too, who's from Connecticut.
William Atherton.
He was from Orange, Connecticut, which is the town
I always thought Chuck was the actor who was in Superman 3.
Yeah, who played played Lana Lang's husband. Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
That's him.
Okay, he wasn't in
Chuck.
Yeah, but he wasn't in Die Hard.
Well, what are you listening to me for? I'm in quarantine, for Christ's sakes. I'm sitting here in a damn hovel, surrounded by fire trap comic books and a stupid.
All right. It's okay.
You're talking to me about Chuck Cunningham. Where are the happy
all right,
days?
have a look here. Let's talk about some. Let's bring it down.
No. Stop.
What?
So we're gonna say you're gonna tell me that the shark incident was when the show went off the rails.
Well, I think
or the Dude Ranch, which was the year before.
That's right. I do remember the Dude Ranch because I didn't know what a Dude Ranch was.
Nobody did until we saw it on Happy Days.
That's right. Well, look, I admire them.
Oh wait, I'm asking you. You're on the stand, Mr. Dollister. Are you trying to tell me that you think the later seasons of Happy Days are just as good as the earlier ones?
No, I never said that.
Okay.
I never said that. But, when it says that, jumping the shark, that's really where it's missed the mark or
It's off the
whatever.
rails at that
It's
point.
off the
Yeah,
rails.
There's no coming back. There's no coming
It
back.
ran for 5 years after that episode.
It even
Okay.
ran after Richie left and went to Alaska to
know.
join the army,
To
which
be
made no sense.
Yes, but he grew a mustache. Remember, he grew a
He
mustache.
grew a mustache. He grew that porn mustache. Yeah, and mustache. What did you say?
Mustache.
Mustache. Ed,
I say tomato.
what are these called again?
Glasses.
Eyeglasses.
Spectacles.
Eyeglasses. Readers. Okay.
Yeah. Did you
All
hear
right.
about
this show's go. There goes that 30-minute mark.
Did you hear
we're-
about the
third day.
did you hear about the lens maker who fell into a lens grinding machine and made a spectacle?
He made a spectacle of himself.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
It
Anyway.
sucks. But anyway,
so
no, you forgot
You
the
know
one
when
spin-off. No, shut up. You forgot about the Angel episode. Remember that guy?
Oh, that had a spin-off. That was actually
It bombed terribly.
Yeah.
That was the worst. That was the one. Look, they had a hit with Laverne and Shirley.
Yes.
They had a hit with Mork and Mindy.
Yep.
And they went to the well one more time with this Angel episode. Nothing. Fonzie died, and this angel comes down to show him what his life would have been. And that guy, what was it called? Heaven Can Wait or something, or it Must Be an Angel.
Out of the Blue
Oh,
was the
terrible.
series. Ran
The
for
actors-
one. Yeah.
Oh, did it run for a series?
Well,
A season?
it ran in 1979 for a couple of episodes.
Oh, it was terrible. The actor was horrible. He was a really skin string bean looking guy, and I don't know what it was supposed to be.
They
I
had
don't know.
they had Blansky's Beauties
Blansky.
as well, which was a spin-off.
The hell's Blansky's Beauties?
Blansky's Beauties was about a one of the supporting characters or whatever, and they had
Wait,
some
who?
crossovers.
Danny Piccolo?
Let me find out for you.
I don't know
How
what
about
you're talking about.
that? Really? Well, that's
I
good.
think you're thinking of the San Pedro Beach Bums.
Let me look
that-
about Blansky's
this-
Beauties. Okay, I'm going to read directly. This is
Okay, go ahead.
so-
Wikipedia.
Nancy Walker played Howard Cunningham's visiting cousin, Nancy Blansky from Las Vegas. And
Yeah.
then Blansky in 1977. And the following week, Blansky's Beauties premiered on February the 12th, 1977. She was a long-time Las Vegas showbiz veteran and the den mother to a bevy of beautiful Las Vegas showgirls. So they had
How many episodes did that run?
it ran for 13 episodes. So
Nancy Walker was Rhoda's mother on the Rhoda show. That's about it. And she
Yes.
was also the quicker picker upper. She was the bounty paper towel lady.
Yep.
Which was a thing here. But no.
and then
Never
of course
heard
we
of
had
that one.
Joni Loves Chachi as well, which only
Yeah,
ran
well
for one
that's
season.
that's another story.
But
All right.
more really Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy.
Why did
are my
Arnold leave the
favorites.
show? Why did Pat Morita leave?
I
And
don't
Murray the
know. Then
Cop?
we had Al Molinaro, didn't we? Was it Molinaro?
Yeah, Al Molinaro. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it right. Yeah, look at you.
Yeah. I don't.
By the
know.
way,
yeah.
oh my God, I should have brought that out. He had a chain. I have the cup. He had a chain of restaurants called Big Al's after the show was over.
Really?
And there was one in New Haven, and it was a 50s style thing with the jukeboxes and all that stuff. And my friend Joe Murley and I, we would go to New Haven, right across the street where they filmed Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, which also took place in the 50s.
It did.
But it was called Big Al's, and I have a cup that I remember I stole from the place, and it had Al Molinaro on the thing. He's like, what was his thing? Yep. Was that his key thing? Was that his?
Yeah. No, it was. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought it was yeah. I was like,
yep. Was that it? Yep.
Yep.
I'll see if I can find it.
But he was Murray the Cop from The Odd Couple. That's how I know him.
That's right. He was too. He was.
Oh, that was
too.
more his big. Yeah, before he became Big Al,
Yeah.
who replaced Arnold. Now, Arnold, it's funny when you watch the old shows, Arnold was this fictitious character that was never seen, and they always talked about him, like, old man Arnold's really mad about this or that. So when you expected to see Arnold, you thought there would be this big, mean, angry guy, and here comes Pat Morita running out there, who's about 5'0" nothing,
Yep.
and this little Japanese American fella, and everyone's like, who's that guy? They go, that's Arnold? So that was another surprise on the show.
And I remember him joking about saying, why is it called
Because
Arnold's?
that was the name when he bought it. Yeah.
And he didn't have enough money to put his actual Japanese name, which was something Takahashi or something like that. So
Yeah. So he just stuck with the name. Yep.
that's right.
And then Arnold's burned down.
I
Remember
do.
that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that was so sad.
Even
the jukebox was burned. Yeah, no, it was devastating. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It was up there with Henry Blake dying.
Oh yeah.
On MASH. Oh, we got to do a MASH show. But
we
anyway.
will. We'll do it.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All right, I'm on the gun here.
But I was going to say about merchandise. So we were talking about merchandise. So I've got a couple of
wait, before you jump into that, let's talk about when the show really ended. Okay, so Richie leaves in season.
He left in 1980, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So he left, and he took Ralph.
Going.
No, Ralph Malph jumped ship too. He was like,
He
you know
did.
what? If Richie's gone, I'm going. So they left Potsy there.
Yep.
And then I think the show was, now I don't know what really happened, but I always heard stories that Ron Howard wanted to become a director, which he was.
Yep.
He had Splash and he had a couple other big hits, Grand Theft Auto maybe.
Yeah, that was in 77 he directed that. So he directed that during...
No, he was off to do his Hollywood directing, which is fun. But Ralph Malph left because he didn't have faith that the show would go on without him?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess so. I think he just felt it was time to, pursue other projects, I guess.
And so now it becomes the Fonzie show. That's why I heard a lot of people were mad because it became the Fonzie show. So now they had to get a new, I don't know, younger love interest. So that's when they played up Chachi.
Yeah.
A.K.A.
Don't forget Roger.
Oh, no, Ted McGinley?
Yeah. He's the death knell for any...
Now, well, there goes our show. 5 episodes. I hope you people liked it because they had to talk about the Macbeth of TV.
Sorry.
Freaking Ted McGinley over there. Death takes a holiday. Who did he play? Wasn't he their cousin Roger?
He was Roger. Wasn't he the photography teacher?
I thought he was a relative.
I don't think so.
The only person that could have saved that show at that point was the Malachi brothers. Let the pigeons loose. I still yell that out. Sometimes people don't know what's going on. Now, once in a while, you'll see somebody look at me. I go, when the show starts at Terrificon, when the doors open, I go, let the pigeons loose. Nobody knows what that means. Nobody knows what that means.
Fair enough. But now they will, which is good. So
yeah, we got more viewers than that. When the Leather Tuscadero showed up, she wasn't a love interest for Fonzie, was she? Because she was like 20 years younger than he was. Wasn't he? Plus, that was Pinky's younger sister, or maybe that was she was after Richard.
I don't know if they were really a loving. Really, come
on, do this
for Fonzie was
do the little thing she would do. What's her hand jive?
I do remember that. That's right.
Yeah. So, I watched the show, Ed. I don't know about you, but I used to watch it.
That's really rude. I was going to wear my leather Tuscadero outfit, but I decided to go for Ralph Malph instead. So you could have worn the Grand Poobah hat, from
the Elks Lodge?
From the lodge, yeah. That's right.
What lodge was he at? Not the Water Buffalo. That's the Flintstones.
Yeah, same sort of. I always get those guys confused.
I don't know.
But
Muskrat. It was Muskrat, wasn't it? The Muskrat Lodge.
I'll see if I can find
somebody right now is yelling at their TV. You idiots. It was this. You didn't know.
Do you even know what this show is? That's right.
I don't even know what Happy Days is. I thought it was some type of narcotic.
So we've had so it ended up in ending in 1984.
Yes, they broke the fourth wall.
They did. They did.
Looked right into the camera and said, "And thank you for being part of our family." Little chubby Tom Bosley there.
That's a pretty good Tom Bosley impersonation.
Thank you.
Do you know why, actually? Do you know why Bosley is called Bosley in Charlie's Angels?
Not to be so David Doyle wouldn't get confused with Tom Bosley?
No, they called him Bosley because they wanted a Tom Bosley type to play.
Oh, really?
Yep, that character.
I didn't know that.
So they called him Bosley.
I had no idea.
Yep.
No.
And they couldn't get Tom Bosley, so they got David Doyle.
Okay. Before you get into your merchandise, because I know you love your trinkets there.
I do.
There was a Happy Days cartoon show here in the United States.
The Happy Days gang. That's when they would time travel.
With the dog, Mr. Cool.
Yes.
And Ron Howard did the voice for those, and the whole cast did. So you're like, wow, they got the real actors to do that?
Yep.
There was that.
There was a Mork. There was actually a Mork TV cartoon show as well. And a Laverne and Shirley cartoon series.
I don't remember Laverne and Shirley. Did Robin Williams do the voice for the Mork cartoon?
I'm not sure.
I can't imagine that. Anyway, there wasn't that stupid angel cartoon, I'll tell you that. And it wasn't that Blansky's Bimbos or whatever that show
Lansky's
was.
Beauties.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I think that's about it. I think Fonzie ended up owning the garage at the end. He became a shop teacher, didn't he?
He did. Well, he learned how to read. He was in a serious relationship with Linda Pearl for the second to last season.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And remember,
What was Richie's wife's name? The
Laurie Beth, I think, wasn't it?
Laurie Beth. Yeah, Laurie Beth. Yeah.
So, and everyone came back
Mock.
to the last episode, and it sort of wrapped up in a nice sort of conclusion.
It did.
And
yeah, kind of, yeah.
And it's still a good. I think it's still a fun.
Honestly, dude, when that Joni Loves Chachi stuff was on there, I couldn't stand that show at that point because it was so 80s. It was in the 80s at that point. He'd show him with his sweatbands, his little wristbands,
Well, remember Chachi always had that bandana tied around his leg?
Yes. What was that?
I don't know. He was trying to thing. I don't know.
Kind of. And it, wah, wah, wah. That's his little bit. Everybody had a tagline.
Oh, they had a catch. Sit on it, Mitch.
Sit on it. Which, by the way, years later, I thought was kind of vulgar. I was like, what exactly were they talking about here? Nerd. That came about from that. And, of course, Dren, which is what? Nerd spelled backwards, which is what Joni called Anson Williams, Potsy. Remember she wrote him a love letter? Yeah. You don't remember that.
There were 200 and something episodes of Happy Days, wasn't there?
Who was the first cast member to pass on? Let's get morbid. Let's not talk about the happy days. Let's talk about the not so happy days.
I thought it was Tom Bosley.
No, it might have been Pat Morita.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah. Then Tom Bosley, and then I think most of them. God bless her, Marion Ross is like 93. She's still alive. She's still going. In fact, I know her agent, and they've asked me to bring her, Potsy, and Ralph Mouth to Terrificon.
And why are you not doing that? I am so excited.
We're in quarantine right now. I don't know. I did happen to, speaking of meeting these people, I've had the opportunity to meet. What am I talking about?
Well, I was going to say, did you know that Marion Ross was in an episode of Kolchak the Night Stalker as well?
No, I did not. But I was going to say, I did know that Henry Winkler went to the Yale School of Drama in my hometown of New Haven, Connecticut, and he lived in East Haven, Connecticut. And he and I talked about pizza restaurants because I've met him twice. Once at a show in New York, and then I brought him to Connecticut for Terrificon 2018, I believe it was. And he did a story about being a one-man show. And there, I got to talk to Fonzie. It was a great experience. The best guest we ever had. The longest lines we ever had. Mm-hmm. He wrote books. He was on Arrested Development. He was in Night Shift, which is one of the funniest movies ever made with Michael Keaton. Henry Winkler's done it all. Voiceover, you name it. He's an Emmy Award winner for Barry. But that was also the place that I got you some merchandise that was autographed. And now my segue right to you, Ed. Fantastic. Show us what you got.
Okay, so what I've got is, well, I'll lead up to that. That's because that's my favorite. I've got a stack of, they released a lot of books.
Let's take a look.
This is number 3, Happy Days,
Ooh.
The Invaders.
What is that about, UFOs?
Yeah, that's something like that. I've got, this is the
look at that.
And Lazonga.
What is that?
When the carnival comes to town, it's Happy Days. So I've got that.
Lasagna sounds like a bad meal.
So if you have a look at these, it's funny, these books, obviously, who's
how thick
front
are
and
those?
center? Who's front and center on these?
No, but I'm saying, how thick are they? Are they like 80 pages? What are they?
They're, let's have a look.
And it's all prose, eh?
No, it's all 152 pages.
Oh, I don't remember those at all.
Yeah, so I've got some of those. I've got this one, which is The Truth About Fonzie.
What is the truth about Fonzie? That's kind of frightening.
You don't want to know.
He's not really Italian.
There we go. Yeah, that's right. There we go. So some good.
Oh, don't do that. You're going to bend the spine.
That's okay. I could use a bit of spine bending at the moment. Oh, there we go. Speaking of, there's
Pat Morita.
Yeah. So,
who's the girl? Your fingers covering that.
Oh, that's Marion.
Oh, okay. I always thought Mrs. C wanted to jump Fonzie's bones. You ever get that idea? That maybe when Mr. C wasn't around?
I thought she was fond of him.
Oh, I think she was much more than that.
I picked up. I've got this as well. Happy Days.
She was the only one that would call him Arthur.
Yes. So this was
What was
actually.
in? What can I ask you a question?
This is the making of. Look at that.
Look at that stash.
Yeah.
That's a real. I'm
That's
going to
a
ask you
stash.
trivia. What was inside the Foot Locker that Fonzie's dad left him? It was locked, and he couldn't open it for years. And when Fonzie's father left him as a small boy, he left him this Foot Locker.
I honestly can't remember. I'm thinking back to the Foot Locker in Hawaii 5-0 that McGarrett's dad left him.
No, well, Fonzie had this Foot Locker that his dad left him. His dad ran out on him, and he finally broke it open. You know what was inside there? The key for the Foot Locker. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's supposed to be some
That's
kind
pretty
of
deep.
like deep meaning to it. How did it get locked if the lock was the key was inside, which was something always baffled me. But.
2 keys.
Okay, Ed, go on. What other junk do you have? 2 keys. You know, you make me look stupid in front of the internet, Ed. They don't need that, Ed.
All 12 people. Don't worry about it. It's fine. All right. And this
Turn off the TV right now.
Now I'm gonna say that Mego came out with a line of
Action figures.
Yeah,
Yes.
which were fantastic. They were all cloth.
Yeah,
they
the
had
sweater.
Yeah, they had
Quick, what
basically-
high school did Richie go to?
Oh,
my God, you never watched
I
this
didn't
stupid
watch it.
show.
See, is this tit for tat now?
began
You're
with a
trying to
J.
just because I thought of the 2
No,
keys.
no. Answer the question. Don't try to
Yeah,
deflect.
wasn't it
Answer-
Jefferson High?
Yes, it was Jefferson High. Thank God.
you.
Jesus. For a minute, I was getting worried. Like, this
Okay.
is not a. He was watching Good Times the whole time. He thought it was Happy Days.
Dynamite. Anyway.
All right. Yeah.
Right, I know my good times.
I
Okay.
know my good times. Ain't we
So-
lucky we got them?
That's right. So Mego brought out a stack of figures,
Yes.
which were quite good. They brought out Fonzie's motorbike.
Yes, they
brought
did.
out-
It moved. It was motorized.
It was. They also brought
Yes.
out Fonzie's garage.
No. What you know what was best about the Fonzie action figure?
His thumb.
It had a
Oh,
thumb. Yeah,
yeah.
and a little. And then years later, they had a thumb that moved up and down. There was 2
Yep.
versions of it.
Yep, with
Yeah.
a little doodah in the back, which is pretty
There we
cool.
go.
They
Neat.
brought out Fonzie's jalopy. They had a whole stack of things. But in 2000,
Jalopy. Wow,
Yeah.
look at you.
Yeah.
The terms. Yeah.
In
his car,
2000
yeah.
in 2000 and I think 5, they brought out a sort of a revamped version of the Mego
Really
style
timely.
figures,
Yeah.
which was good. They even brought
No,
out
no. It wasn't 2005,
they-
buddy.
it was
It was 2018 is when the
No.
Fonzie figure got released.
Yeah,
The
hold
new,
on. No,
the
no,
new Mego.
no,
no.
they brought them out.
No, that's not Mego. That's a knockoff.
I know. I never said Mego. I said Mego style. All right. So they brought out
Happy
Mego
days.
style ones where they even brought out a Jump the Shark Fonzie, which was pretty cool.
With
And
the little,
then-
with the letters jacket and the
Yes,
bathing
and
suit?
the orange, the yellow belt and the skis.
Oh,
water skis.
the life preserver. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Mego have been re-releasing where I've got my fantastic, thanks to you, Mitch, my fantastic Superman, Mego 18-inch
Superman?
figures. Yeah,
What has that Superman have to
I'm
do
just
with
saying
that?
Mego. I'm
Oh,
have re-released, and of course they brought
Confused
out
me.
the Happy Days gang, and here is my pride and joy. Okay, now the
It's
thing
an
with
autographed.
which
Where's the
is
autograph?
autographed,
There it is.
and it's a
Yep, by
bit,
Henry Winkler.
and it says on there the cool. What I love is
I
it
think it
says
says Ed, you're cool, right?
Ed is cool,
Ed
And
is
that-
cool.
and that mirror that I want to buy, on it says Fonz is cool.
Oh my
That's
god, it's
why
kind of like
I'm
a
going to
mantra.
spend whatever I have to get that mirror.
I
but
wonder
it-
how many times he's written that.
Shh.
You know what his other? You know what a great other Henry
It's
Winkler?
fantastic.
Did you ever see the American Christmas Carol?
No, I don't think I have. How's it?
Oh,
different?
that's Henry Winkler. It's basically the story of Scrooge.
Yeah.
You know, Charles Dickens, but it's done in America, and Henry Winkler plays the Scrooge character.
Ah,
It was a
Might have
made-for-TV movie, and it ran for years. And it's actually one of the a Christmas tradition here.
Okay. I haven't seen that. I will search that out.
He's
at
very
Christmas
good in
time.
it. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah,
Did you
Happy
get the
Days-
trading cards, buddy?
I didn't get any of them. No,
There
unfortunately.
was Happy Days trading cards. There was Happy Days T-shirts. I remember having a Fonzie T-shirt.
I've got
There,
those. Yeah.
I'm gonna say there was a Happy Days comic book because I saw somebody had one at the Terrificon and got it autographed, but I don't remember if it ran a lot.
There was some really cool board games that they had hanging with
was,
the Fonz and things like that.
with the Fonz.
Oh, they did have what was pretty cool. There was I'll put a picture up of it.
You know where his leather jacket is now, right?
In the Smithsonian.
That's right, in the Smithsonian Institute. Yes.
And they've got they brought out Dr. Pepper Pizza Hut glasses of Happy Days.
Did?
Yeah. Here they are right now.
Wait. Oh, you have them?
No, but I'll put them up on the screen. So.
Oh, all right. I will look for those for you because I know you collect that stuff.
I do, yeah. So they were there.
So you're saying only in the States it was released, not over in Australia?
Absolutely, not in Australia.
Right.
No.
I will look. That's well. Next time I see the guy at my show, whenever we can start doing conventions around here, without this plague thing going on.
Yeah.
I will look for some Dr. Pepper Pizza Hut glasses. You say?
Yeah, they had that. There was lots of things. They had they were on cans as well. They had some punch sort of soft drink or soda pop or whatever, where they had pictures.
They didn't have a breakfast cereal. They didn't have it. Not like my Batman '89, because if I would have eaten that cereal if we get 1,000.
Yeah. They could have called them A's. Wouldn't that have been cool?
Like C-3POs.
That's right. That's right. So, look, I love Happy Days. It's a really easy watch. It's available on DVD. I think in America, it's probably on like Hulu or whatever.
Maybe. I was going to go watch it now that you got me going.
Yeah, I think there's some really good episodes. The later episodes, not so much. What I would do is watch the first couple of seasons up to watch the Jump the Shark episode, so you can get a bit of a
watch the Dude Ranch episode.
Yeah, and then probably watch the last 2 episodes of the entire.
You know what your good one was? What's your favorite one?
There was one where look, I'm trying to.
The haunted house one.
That was pretty. Oh, that was pretty good. And when they were trying to infiltrate the lodge. That was Ralph
when they were
and Richie.
When they were camel jockeys?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, they told the girls they were camel jockeys. And what did Ralph say since you were wearing the shirt?
Oh, I can't remember.
I actually said it during the show if you were paying attention.
Oh,
Mock.
Mock. I thought that was Klingon.
No, the girl said, "How do you say I love you in what were they? Tunisian camel jockeys or something?" Yep. He goes, Mock. Remember where he would take her? What was the name of the place they'd go to make out?
Something. Hill.
Inspiration Point.
So yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and they go watch the submarine races, which I didn't get for years later. I'm like, you can't see a submarine race. And why would they be in the middle of Wisconsin over there, Lake Michigan?
I don't know. Just
because I'm not the smartest guy on the internet. That's why.
Two keys.
2 keys.
Halleck. That's what you are.
Yeah, and Ed, I don't watch these shows, Dollister, but I host a show about on the internet.
So look, it's been a little while since I've watched Happy Days, but
quarantine talking, Ed. It's the quarantine talk. Next week when we come on, my hair's going to be down to here.
That's right. I'll have
wait a minute. In honor of our show, ready?
Yep.
Look, I did a Fonzie.
That's good. You did. And I can do that.
Yeah.
Hey. All right. Well, that's it for this episode looking at Happy Days. Again, you can find out some information about Happy Days. Just search the web. It's really worth watching. It's great fun. Great characters. There's some great merchandise. Mitch, I will say again, thank you so much. That is pride and joy in my collection.
I have one of those too. I just don't know where it is right now.
That's okay. It's pretty cool. And he's got the thumbs.
I think they're articulated. I do think.
No, these are not articulated on this one.
It was creepy, the original one, because it had this little ball jointed thing with a thumb would go.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, I have a weird thumb. Look at that. I could never do the Fonzie thing.
You couldn't.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
How's yours go?
It's just like a regular thumb. Yeah.
Well, you learn something new every week on there.
We're scaring the children now. All right. I think this is where this episode has jumped the shark right now. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you enjoy the show, please let other people know. If not, you never heard of us at all. So that'll be great. We might talk. Are we going to talk we'll talk Star Wars coming up soon. So we'll talk.
It's the Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary, buddy.
Yeah, that's true.
We should have people. You know what? No. You said people comment on the show. All three of them. All right. Do we do a thing about the 40th anniversary of Flash Gordon?
Hang on. We're going to do one of those anyway. So
I've never watched that movie. So.
Yeah, well, we'll give you some time. That can be in maybe August or something like that.
The 40th. When did that movie come out? At Christmas time? I think it came out around December. Oh, who knows when it came out in Australia? It probably came out 3 weeks ago.
That's right.
Superman 2. Whatever. Oh, yeah. 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. 40th anniversary of... I just said it, Flash Gordon, and there's also The Legend of the Lone Ranger with Clinton Spilsbury. We're not watching that one.
No.
But that came out in 1980 as well.
It did. Did it?
Yeah.
Or was that 1981?
No, it was 1980. It was 1980.
I've got you thinking. Because
here we go.
It featured because it's got a link to Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's got a...
Wait, how?
Well, because they did the, Indy Under the Truck, under the truck. They did that same sort of...
So it was in 1980.
I'm just saying, it might have been 1981.
Don't try to tell it. No, 81. No.
Do you want me to look it up now? Do you want me to look it up?
No. It was great movie stunts with Harrison Ford. He narrated it. And he said Terry Leonard, who went under the truck in the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, also did a similar stunt in The Legend of the Lone Ranger, which was the year before, which would be 1980. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no. We got money on this. I don't know how much American money's worth Australia now.
It's worth more than Australian dollars, I can tell you.
Is it really that? Okay.
Yeah, we're only like 64 cents to the US
dollar.
Well,
after today, who knows? Yeah. I will hedge your bet, Baby Yoda. And you know what else, Ed? I'm gonna knock.
Oh, hang on! We'll have to edit this. Say what were you saying?
That's the Disney Plus contract. I will bet you my Baby Yoda and my giant-sized man thing.
Yes.
If I'm wrong,
okay.
I will get you something.
All right.
That's it. Let's go. My mom's making the meatloaf tonight. I got to get up.
All right. That's all right. And I've got to go whack the jukebox, if you know what I mean.
Easy now. I don't want to know.
All right. So this is Ed Dollister.
This is Mitch Halleck and Baby Yoda.
And this is Harrison Ford, who starred with Henry Winkler in Heroes in 1979.
Right. Which, by the way, Henry Winkler says he's a jerk. That's another story.
Oh, you can't leave it. Anyway, we got to go.
Oh, well, there's stuff that you know. That
I know. That's all right.
Sure Harrison Ford's not upset about it, but Henry Winkler.
True. That's true.
Not a fan.
All right. This is Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. See you next time.